The following is a transcript between Matías De Stefano, referred to as me, and his higher self, referred to as I am, originally produced on December 10th, 2020, under the constellation of Sagittarius in the mental week, examining through the ankle chakra. Me. These days, I've heard the word karma many times in various situations. There is such a heavy connotation in it that sometimes it bothers me to hear it. I am. It has been popularized as something negative instead of transmitting what it truly is. Me. Yes, that's it. It become a synonym for bad. You have bad karma. This is your karma. What a heavy karma. It will come back to you in the form of karma. I can't do anything. It's my karma. Even if I tell myself that what I'm doing this year and next year is part of my karma, and sometimes I see it as a regret, but what is karma actually? I am. Karma comes from the sacred Brahmi language that you call Sanskrit. It is a word made up of two others, kar, which means action or cause, and man, which means thinker or one who thinks. Both together make up a concept that refers to the action that affects the thinker. A human being is a thinking being, and through thought projects a motor energy that we call emotion, which drives the machinery toward action. But every action has an effect, a result that modifies the thinker, changing his way of seeing and learning. The bird that looks down from the nest as an inner impulse that encourages it to jump into the void without prior knowledge, just observation. This is how he thinks, calculates, feels, and at a specific moment decides to jump into the void. Falling down, the reaction is activated, which is the effect of the action taken to jump into the void. And this means that there is no turning back, since he is already falling off of the precipice, and therefore the action taken conditions the thinker. Now, with the fall, the bird has two options as a consequence of the cause: collide with the ground at high speed, or flap its wings and fly away. Me. In other words, karma is something conditional to the point of saying, if you jump, you will hurt yourself. I am. No. Karma is simply the consequence of your actions. And it does not matter if they are good or bad. What matters is how you react during the push of the previous action and how you act during the process. For what one person may be a bad decision, for another may be the solution to his problems. What will differentiate one from the other is their ability to take skills and attitudes when it comes to taking responsibility. Me. Karma is like a test, an exam that one sets oneself to improve oneself. It is not a judgment imposed by the universe. In other words, one can decide whether or not to live his karma. I am. Karma is like learning. You make a decision, and that decision will lead to an action that is likely to have unexpected results, and you will learn from them. Karma is not a judgment, but a consequence of your own actions. But even so, they can determine you. Me. And how can they determine me? I am. You can't stop a wave with one hand. If you have caused a tide, you will have waves as a consequence, and no matter how much you deny them, they will be there, pushing you into the currents. You have set the conditions. The problem is that we are not consistent with these choices. That is, we are not coherent, and we become unconscious, acting by reactions instead of being responsible for taking conscious actions. When your actions are carried out from consciousness, karma teaches you to fly when you fall from the nest. But if you react from unconsciousness, karma will hit you hard on the ground. And in the same way as the waves, the tides, everything that you have not learned must be reviewed again. Sooner or later, you will have to jump again, because if your program says you must fly, no matter how much you deny it, life will put you in front of precipices. Me. Of course, the system that I myself programmed for myself repeats itself until I learn, which is why, in me, karma is related to learning. Karma is not that if I have done something bad, bad things will happen to me, or if I do good things, that good things will happen to me. But karma only reminds me that I am responsible for my conscious and unconscious actions. I am. The view of good and bad karma is self-righteous. But do you remember what morality was? Me. Regulations imposed by a culture in relation to the place or context in which they live, from moris, which means to inhabit. I am fine. Religion and philosophy are keys to the moral development of a people that seeks harmony among its parts. Spiritual concepts are transferable and can be shared as values. Thus, just as for Christians, there is a concept of sin and forgiveness. For Brahmi cultures, there is karma and dharma. If karma is the action that affects the thinker, dharma will be what the thinker has managed to possess. Dar means possession and law. Thus, it implies that the thinker has learned something new, and now, for him, it is law. It is what he possesses as insurance. Morally, the simplistic explanation of karma and dharma would talk about being careful with the actions we take because they can condition our lives for the worse, and therefore we must behave well to have good karma that leads us to dharma, to happiness. Me. For this reason, when Eastern cultures mix with Western ones, the idea of karma and sin mix, generating the idea that karma is equivalent to Christian sin, and therefore, not to mention, if you do something bad, you will go to hell. We say, if you do something bad, it will return to you as karma, which would be the same, but said with a medieval Christian weight. I am. That's right. The weight has been placed on a word that does not correspond to it. Karma must be seen as going to school. You have different subjects, different teachers, and they will teach you different things. Depending on your abilities and aptitudes, you will learn in one way or the other. And that methodology used by you is the one that will have its consequences at the end. Therefore, you'll spend the holidays studying to be able to pass those pending subjects, or otherwise you'll have to repeat the entire course the following year. Me. In this system, I still see something wrong. The concept is focused on passing and not on learning. I am excellent. This is where you have found why today's society sees karma as something to overcome, to pass, to eliminate as quickly as possible from our lives, and to keep moving forward instead of incorporating and enjoying assimilating the information. Because today's society is designed to get over it, to be successful, to accumulate titles, to be able to say, I passed it, I got over it. And then, me, and then what happens to all of us happens. That many years later, a problem arises related to what I should have learned in elementary school, and I don't know now how to solve it. I am, and there is the karma that is activated again. Karma is not something to be overcome. It is something to be integrated, like the shadows. You cannot face the shadows to erase them, but to understand them and to use them in your growth process. This is why people take karma as something to overcome in their lives, to resolve in order to feel free. But karma is the action that affects the thinker. It is the ability to be transformed in our own creations. For this, you can create good karma, what Westerners would call good learning or integration process. Me. Thinking about my year, one of the things that always comes to mind is that on February 23rd, 2022, my karma of 12,000 years will end. I free myself from the weight and responsibility of my tasks with the past. I close what I have come to do in relation to my life in Kim and on the Nile, and I begin to live my life here and now in relation to the future. Before I saw this as heavy karma, as something that I have to do, whether I want to or not, because it is the echo of the action that I took so long ago that today affects me, the thinker. But now I see it as a learning, as if in full fall, I was learning to fly. Karma is not decisive. Karma is an echo that reminds you of what you should review and integrate, and only you can decide how you will do it, how you will live it. You are freed from the conditions of karma when you yourself become unconditional. You free yourself from karma when you free yourself from moralistic and determining preconceptions, to embark on the adventure of learning, integrating, and transcending. When you free yourself from the guilt of your actions. That's another big topic. How do we become aware of the karma we have with other people? We are all nodes in a network. We are all interconnected in many dimensions through time and space. Therefore, we all have things to learn from each other. Nobody owns the truth. Everyone owns a part of it. You cannot expect anything from anyone. You can only take what you need from each one to complete your image, and to receive those parts that you must love your neighbor as you would yourself. For love is the resonance that allows sharing said karma. And love has many frequencies, from as low as hate and resentment to as high as happiness and fulfillment. The loving interactions between the parties can be conditional or unconditional, where the former limits your possibilities by making you believe that you have no choice, but to live that which is supposed to be your karma. And the second leads you to open yourself to the infinite possibilities of experiencing yourself and integrating yourself in expansion. Consciousness lies in the ability you have to be conditional or unconditional in your relationships. For unconsciousness keeps you linked to people by karmic conditions, while consciousness makes you feel free from people by karmic unconditionality, in which you can interact without expectations of time or space. In other words, karma, one way or the other, does not depend on the universe, but on the conscious and unconscious decisions of the individual. That's right. And what about the thing called karmic board? It is a way of humanizing what is in the sixth dimension seen as an energetic wheel that pushes the unconscious energy, positive and negative, that due to polarity does not have its own axis or direction. The karmic board is like an energetic motor that orders the vibrations by resonance in data packets. Thus, the souls that live from the unconsciousness of their actions are ordered in circumstances similar to their vibration so that they can continue testing integration. So there is a system that conditions. Sure, because you have decided to be unconscious. It is like blaming your body's parasympathetic system for making your heart beat without your conscious permission. Okay, I understand. If the parasympathetic system had to ask me every time and every day how to make my heart beat, I would have been dead a long time ago. That's why you have a parasympathetic system to take care of everything you are unconscious of, the karmic board. And then you have a sympathetic system to make your own decisions. That is, if you feed your body physically and emotionally from consciousness, your heart will have no problem beating from unconsciousness. Me, karma and dharma, well, they are a cycle, like death and rebirth, that pass through time and space and inheritance. I am the great inheritance. Me, like the book I wrote. I am. Karma is the inheritance that we give ourselves over time. It is like that mystery trunk that in your story you give to your grandchildren and with which they must decide what to do in their actions. Me, I feel like what you're telling me is preparing me for this eclipse. My own heritage, my own karma. In that parallel reality, I did it from the unconscious. It is time to do it from the conscious. I am, and there you will solve the big mistake you made. So, are you willing to receive your own inheritance and this time do it consciously? Me, yes, I am ready. I am. You know, the key to the portal is you. Mahasa.